I'm going to show you how we can take 2 lines and make 4 or more lines out of them if you just look at and observe the fish and breed them. I can show you how to go in different directions to make multiple lines out of a male from one line and a female from another. So my favorite one to work with is reds. For whatever reason, reds do really well around here in our water. So I can breed reds. I don't even have to try. They do really well for me. Other lines, I can't breed with. They just won't do well in my water. So reds, red albinos, half black reds. So I'm going to show you what the differences are. So getting back to eye color, one of the things we're going to talk about is albinoism. You know, albinoism generally is rare until you start inbreeding a population, and then it starts popping up. That's because you are reinforcing the recessive. Population genetics, when you start reinforcing, the smaller your population gets when you're breeding, the more you reinforce hidden genetics, and albinoism is one of them. All reds in the IFGA, almost all the half black reds, Moscow reds, all those eventually will throw red albinos for you naturally. They usually get eat pretty fast because they're blind for up to 3 days. So the albino babies will just go sit on top, and guppies are very, very carnivorous, and they will eat their young as fast as they can come out. Some lines. I have some lines that do not eat their young. They just swim with them. They don't touch them. I have other lines like snakes and some multis that as soon as they're having babies, they're all lined up like it's like a smorgasbord meal. That's the way guppies are. So Stan Schubel, who's considered the father of the American guppy, he only bred fish that did not eat their young, and he bred that out of all of his lines. Stan was known for that, and so he would set them up. If the female started eating their young, she'd throw out all the babies and throw her out. And he kept doing that until he found the right females that wouldn't eat them, and those are the only ones he would breed. And so they're not carnivorous. That's one thing. If someone is ever saying they're selling Schubel fish, say, hey, do they eat their young? That'll tell you really quick if they're true or not. Because if they don't, they've been outcrossing us. All Stan's fish would not eat their young. Anyway, so albinoism. So we have albinoism is like blue eyes in humans. So blue is recessive. Now, does that mean if my parents are both brown eyes, that if I get blue eyes, there's something wrong somewhere? When I used to teach this at the U of U, man, I had people that were like, you could tell that they were like, you know, they were like, hold on, I don't think I fit. This isn't right. I shouldn't have this eye color. But because brown is dominant, you only need one dose. You get a gene from mom, gene from dad, always. We have 46 chromosomes. Guess how many chromosomes guppies have? 46. They have the same as we do. Isn't that crazy? 45 autosomal and then 2 sex-linked, X and Y. Okay, so keep albinos in mind is like blue eye color or green eye color, right? So we're going to be talking about that. So I'm going to show you a scenario that I do, and we can even talk percentages if you guys want to. So I've made lines over the years by doing something really, really simple. So this is a red albino male. He's got pink eye. He's red. A lot of people think they have albinoism that you're white. It's not true. It's lack of melanin as a pigment. It only blocks melanin. So you can be red, blue, green, purple, doesn't matter. So this is a red albino. It's got a pink eye. So what does that mean? It means his mama gave him this little R, and his daddy gave him this little R. To get albinoism, you have to have 2 little R's because it's recessive. Big R would be non-albino. It would be a red, but non-albino. Okay? So I'm always trying to improve my lines with the lines that I have, because when sometimes you go outside, you can bring disease into your fish room. You don't know where they've been. You know, people buy a lot of stuff from fish farms. If you've ever been to fish farms like in Florida or overseas, probably wouldn't buy from them if you see how it goes on, okay? So I want to make multiple lines. I only want to use 2 fish. So I got this red albino male. So what am I going to cross it with to make different kinds? This is a half black red female, non-albino. And we're going to make the assumption right now that she doesn't have hidden a little R floating around in her gene pool. We have to make that basic assumption. So no pink eye, black eye, red is the female. Brian Chin drew the females, by the way, and a lady that was back in the day called Miss Hill drew the males. So I want to give credit to those two people who've done this. And they just sent them to me so I could show them. All right, half black red female. See the half black in the body? Okay, what does that mean? What does black mean? See that right here? Okay, black is dominant. Okay, this line is X-linked dominant. So the female carries half black on at least one chromosome. She could be double dominant. She could have big B on one X, big B on the other. And if you really want to screw it up, black jumps around, it can be on one of the autosomal genes. You can literally have a triple black. 3 different blacks and 3 different gene locations. We're going to make the assumption that she's carrying it on both X's for now. So she's double, right? Okay, black is dominant. I need to tell you that. Black is a dominant allele. She's this. She's big B, and for albinism, she's this. She's big R's. She doesn't carry any albino. None. We've got to make the assumption, otherwise it screws up the numbers. Cross those two, what you're going to get. What do you guess? Am I going to get blue? No. You're going to get red. They're all going to be red, but different types of them. So, non-albino, half black. Albino, non-black, albino. So, yeah. So half black is dominant. So let me use a little nomenclature. In genetics, we call these P1 because it's parent 1. That's this line. Down here is what we call F1, familial generation. So, would you believe that in this cross, you're only going to produce one kind of male, one kind of female? Right? You with me? So let's back up. If I cross albino to albino, what do I get? Albino. All the time. There is a rare case where it's not true, but if you guys want to talk about a fun one that doesn't do that, come talk to me. I have a story on it. All right, so albinism, it's like blue eyes. If your wife's blue eyes, you have blue eyes, but if you have a brown kid, I don't know, man. Not our kid, I don't know.
I got lucky, I guess, so far.
It was just funny at school when I taught. The poor kids were like, you could tell they're all talking to each other like, my mom and dad have brown eyes, and I've got these bright green eyes, right? So we could do Punnett squares if we want to. But anyway, so what do we get? Let me show you the male we'll get. There's the male. Is he going? In this case, is the male going to have half black or not half black?
Yeah.
I'd say half black.
Half black? Are we in agreement? Will it be albino or non-albino?
None.
Right. This is what we'll get. We're going to get a half black red male. Okay? Now here's where it gets fun. So there's your male. So genetically, what is he?
Big R, little R.
Big R, little R. Little R, right? Mom and dad. How about black?
Big B, big B.
That's right. Good. Good. Smart. Okay, female. What does a female look like?
I would probably say half black, half red female with non-albino.
Would everyone agree with that or disagree?
Agree.
We're in consensus? Correct. Oh, correct. Upside down. Now keep in mind, you can do this with blues and half black blues if you have blue albinos. Stay away from blue topaz though. They're a different genetic structure than a true blue albino fish. They're different. Right. So this is all you get in the first generation. All right. So what's her genes? Does she have a big R or little R?
Both.
Perfect. How about B's black?
Same.
Both.
Right. Okay. Everyone see that? That's from your first cross. First crosses can be showfish. Now there's another gene that slips in here I don't want to talk about, and it's called gold. There's another gene in behind it that muddies everything up. I want to be really basic. There's actually probably two more genes involved. But this is what they'll look like. Okay, so that's kind of fun, but really what? We've made one line now, right? That's all we've made. Now we got to do something about that. Here's the funness. So these are F1s. If you brother-sister sieve, it's called F2. Okay? All right. Are we going to get half-black males?
Yeah.
Are we going to get non-half-black males?
Yes.
Are we going to get albino too? Or how about females? We'll get half-black females? We'll get non-half-black females? Oh, hold on. No, we're making the assumption that they're both on. No, the male carries an X3. Yes, right. Okay, let me show what these look like. We will get one of these bad boys. So you notice how it's colored out here? See, it's kind of a different color. This is a genetic half-black fish. But because we have albino, it kills the black. And so it makes us this smoky, kind of brownish looking. So that's one of the kind of males we'll get. It's just smoky. It is genetic half-black, but the albinoism has knocked it out. Also, this is one that has the sea back. So it has red eyes too. So this is one of the males that you'll get out of this. You want to take a guess at what other kind of male you'll get? You think we'll get a half-black red male?
Yeah.
We'll get the same fish, no red eyes, and no funky body color. So we'll get these two. So that's one of the kind of males you can get. These will be about 25%. Those are about 25%. Is there any other kind of male we could get out of this cross?
You get a all red. So no albino, but red.
Regular?
Regular
You'll
red.
get a regular red, not a red, yeah. All right, so that's one of the males. This here, it's just a regular male. What? Okay? He's just like the granddaddy, except for he doesn't have pink eyes. So that's one kind of male to get. No pink eyes. Just regular red male. Okay? He's going to be gray body. Is there another possible male we can get out of these? Red albino male. Who does he look like?
Grandpa.
So you're back to, now you have fish that are right back to here, but you mixed the genes up, you brought some of these genes in from the female line that are now over with him, but phenotypically, those two are going to look the same. Pheno is what you see. Geno is what they actually are. So that, you'll get that. Are there any other kind of males?
Half-black albino. No, that's the gray one right there.
That's the gray one.
The half-black albino has the gray body, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Any more than that?
You're not looking at gray, gold, black.
Yeah, I wanted to keep gold out of the picture. Gold and gray out of the picture, I bet. Yeah. So now we get in the F2, if we sieve them, we get an albino half-black red. The albino's knocked out. We get a regular normal half-black red that would match the female of that. We get a normal red male, non-albino, and we get a red albino. This is the second generation. This is what you'll get in males. To save space, you'll get the same combination on the females too. Okay? So, and then from there, if I wanted to set a new strain, say I wanted to come out of here and I wanted to make these somewhat like these, but these with these genes mixed in. Who would I cross this one with? That's the red albino, non-half-black red albino male. And I'm trying to make a new red albino line. Who am I going to cross this male with?
This sister, that's also the same color?
Right. So now we have sister. A lot of incest going on in you. I'm sorry, but this is how you do genetics. So now you have a sister. Red, non-half-black, red albino. Okay? So now you can get into line breeding. Yes, that's good. Yes. So now, you can pick those out in the litter. They're easy to pick out when you get about 2 months old. My original goal was I wanted to make a red albino, but different genetics. Maybe this line carried size. Maybe these were smaller, but I wanted to put the size of this line into this line, but still keep that line. Generally in guppies, you'll have a size line that's big, and you'll have another line that's for color. And you cross to make showfish, you cross your color line with your size line, and that gives you these nice hybrids. So I can line breed these now all the way down. They're going to be the same. Non-half black, we got rid of it, it's gone. And albino is recessive, albino to albino is albino. And now you have it. So this could be another line of red albinos that you can make in your room. So there's one line right there. So if you wanted to make, so if you wanted to strengthen the half black red line, you would take this guy and you find his appropriate sister, which is that one. And now you can line breed these all day long, with a caveat. You will get non-half black fish come out of these. Because the X. We have an X floating around the gene pool now that does not have black on it. Okay? So, yes, right. But you breed it to this system. And you line breed these, and you have half black reds.
Will that X gene always stay in the line from now on?
But you can breed it out. You just call out you only breed half blacks to half blacks. Eventually you'll get that, you'll get back to where, no, you keep the half black in. Anything that's non-half black, you just toss out. After about 2 or 3 generations of line breeding, you'll get rid of it. So, there's line number 2. Let's put her right here. All right, everyone, any questions? So you see how it's cascading out and what you can do. You can do these with, like I said, you can do these with greens and half black greens. Although I've never seen a good green albino fish, ever. Ever. It's like gold green. They're not good fish. So
Rick, on the guppy that has the weird black body, but it's not black, is there a name for that?
yeah, you can't show them.
You can't show them. That's what I want to
Because this fish here, so if you put this fish in a show, based on our standards, and I know a lot of people don't know our standards, you put this in a show, because it's not half black, you got to put it in reds. So you have to go in the red class. But there's 8 points for body color, for the body color to match the class. So red class, red caudal, red body. You're going to lose over half your body color points, and that'll knock you out, because reds is a very competitive class.
Is there any place he can show?
AOC albino.
Or is that, so that isn't it?
And red albino. You can put them in red albino, you can put them in AOC albino. No, that'd be red albino.
It'd have to be red.
It'd have to be red albino. Yeah.
Then he won't do well in that
No.
category. So,
Shame is these are dark. These will be really dark red fish. These are.
so when I had that case come up, and I had 2 just alike, and you said I'd have to put them in with the tank reds, which would have thrown them, they would have not worked at all. We put them in novice tank,
Yeah.
and they came in first.
Yeah, novice is not into any color class. Novice, it's any fish. It's like best of show. Just
So
toss
there
them
was
all in.
still a place for it.
There's a place for them. It just, you couldn't put them in the open class.
Right.
So on the 2 generation there, so that generation, on the males, what percentage of each of those 4 colors would you kind of expect to end up with?
25, 25, 25, 25. Of males, not of the whole population. 50% are males. Of the 50%. So we can do the Punnett square. It'll show you genetically where they are. a big Punnett square for 2 genes.
Now, I think you'd end up with a lot less albinos than the other two because the albino is recessive, and so you're only going to have a quarter of the albinos.
So here, this carries albino, this carries albino. So 25% of them will be.
Yeah, how do you do that? You do like a 4x4 square,
Yeah.
basically? Okay.
So what you
I
would
can
have,
work it out.
we'll get into if you guys want to learn Punnett squares.
Will you just show the Punnett square and then we can fill it in later?
So the Punnett square is going to be like this. So the male, this male here originally is going to be little b, little r, little r.
No, that's right, because you're dealing with the dominant, you're going to not have as many albinos because the
So-
R to R to R, you know what I mean? And the,
So
yeah.
the eighth of the babies will be one type of albino, another eighth will be the other albino, and then you'll have
Then you'll have reds carrying it, albino, not showing it.
Yeah.
Geno, yep.
That's right. So when you do little r, let's just keep it simple. Big R, big R. This is what you get in the first generation with your rows.
Right.
So then when you go over here to the F1, you have big R, little r, big R, little r. So you have these reds, these reds, reds. Here's your albino down in this corner.
Yeah.
That's where your blue-eyed people come out of 2 brown-eyed parents.
big B, little B.
Because you have to go back and look at the grandparents' eyes.
Yep.
So this will be the grandparents, and that's how you go back and look. So this is 25% here. But remember, we have 2 different types of
Yeah,
red
so
albino males.
if all of them, a quarter will be albino, but of each type there will only be an eighth.
So your question is right, and you're right. Yeah, it's just we have 2 different types of red albino males.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so there's line 2. Got this one, this one. So we can go back and do the same thing with this red albino here. We'll find the appropriate female in the batch and breed her to her. So that would be like that one. So that's line number 3 that you have that are different genetically from your parental lines. Okay? This gives you all albinos. Then it gets kind of funny. And the same thing with those. And all these are going to be albinos. Here, if you breed it to the albino half-black female, what happens? Oh, that's what she looks like. Because remember, albino knocks out the half-black. That's why it's funny colored. So you could have an albino line.
It'd be just
of
a fun
half-black
line,
reds, and
though.
just you have to show them in reds, and they get killed in reds.
Unless
But
you're
yeah.
in, unless
Oh
you're
no,
a
red
novice.
albino. Put in red albino. Oh, why am I forgetting red albino class today? Yeah, but yes, that's line number 3.
Now I have one question. With the half black, is that complete or is it a partial for dominant? If you have a big, you know what I mean, dominant recessive, will that make it darker or lighter?
You ask a really good question that people have debated a long time on half black. Because some fish will look half black, some fish don't look half black, even though genetically they are, but they look smoky. The prevailing thing is that the more half black that you have, if you have 2 doses of half black, it's dark.
It's darker.
I tend to agree with it, but not 100%. Because I've seen 1 dose half blacks that are like jet black. My half black red line that I showed a video of, they're jet black.
So
They are only 1 dose.
So does that mean different genetics for making half black might have different intensities with them? So like you have
You have modifier genes that
That
go along.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
These, we have gold floating around. Gold also dilutes out the half black and makes it look more brown. I didn't want to get into gold because that's a 3rd gene we'd have to account for a 3rd gene. Now you're talking about a 64 square Punnett square. Okay, that's line 3. We'll reconstitute the half black lines. That's line 4. And within those 4 lines, you can actually do a couple of other things with them. So that's how you get 4 lines out of 2 fish. And they're all showable. If you get good reds, you get good half black reds, they're all showable. Reds are one of the most, well, the American Reds, let me back up. The American Reds are among the most stable reds in the hobby. I mean, they're cookie cutter. Red. So, and that's how you get 4. There is a way to shortcut this. It's called back crossing. You guys ever heard that term, back crossing? You go from the F1 back to the parent. So, say if I wanted to improve these, I could cross it through his daughter, and I'll get 50% red albinos. I don't have to go down in here.
How will it improve it?
Well, it depends. We're just looking at the genes. But you know, in the guppies, you have little guppies, you have big guppies, you have some reds that are bright, some reds that are dull.
Yeah.
So maybe you have a red line that's really big, but the color's terrible. So you try to incorporate other red genes. Reds tend to be cumulative. The more genes you have coding for red, usually the redder the fish. So and that's working in the background too. But you don't have to go down here if you don't want. You can short circuit it and go through sons and daughters out of the F1. And that is how you get 4 lines. And there's actually other lines in here because we didn't talk about gold and gray. So there's another body color gene that's in the reds called gold. And that'll dilute out your half black and make them look. But they're the cleanest half black reds because they get rid of any of the black in the caudal and the dorsal. So the red is like a cherry red. But they get DQ'd because the half black is not strong enough. But they're like really bright cherry red.
So tattooing fish.
Any questions on this? I threw a lot of terms around.
If you have so those half black reds I posted aren't dark enough. I think they only have one gene for half black. Can I introduce? Is there a way to make him have a second gene?
I would cross it through a Moscow red female. Okay. Now, is your half black red line is the black on the wire?
I don't know.
Well, you'll know when you cross them.
Yeah.
You look at the progeny.
You're asking how to get a second black gene?
Yeah.
So you want to go through red
you just-
Moscow.
Oh, okay. You want a second black gene. Then you go through a line that maybe is Y-linked for the black instead of X-linked, or it's autosomal.
Okay, so it has to be an unrelated line.
Yeah. Yeah. But you'll throw reds together, reds that concentrate
I
together.
think it seems like Jim was saying that, like you said, going like you need to get a line that's in the female, so that way it gives you.
Yeah.
That's how you get your second gene, isn't it? If it's only the X-linked, or sorry, Y-linked, you need to get one that's
X-linked.
Yeah. So it gives it the
So I need to determine whether it's X or Y linked.
Yeah. And just outcross it, you'll know. Just count the males and females. And if it's equal between males and females, then it's autosomal. But if it's all on females, then you know it's X-linked. If it's all on males,
So
then
I'll
it's
cross
Y-linked.
it to like a non-half black red. Okay.
And you'll know really quick.
Yeah.
Like, it segregates like right here.
So doing the non-half black red, that'll tell you if it's what side it's on, right? Is that what? Yeah.
So there's another gene that floats around that acts like half black red, but it's not half black red. And my yellows for years, unbeknownst to me, were actually in bag. They were not black, but they looked black brown. I had my yellows for years, but they were not black. They were in bag, so they got that brownish look to them. And there are some. I had a half black red line. I don't have that one anymore, but it was in bag. When you cross through a lines called Moscows, probably if you guys have done research on Moscow guppies, full body genetics, so they're red from here on back or blue from here on back. But the reason you get that body color is it's called Moscow body additive gene, so it adds color to the body, but it's not true half black. And you'll see those on the bench. You know those half black greens you guys picked up a couple years ago?
Yeah.
That had the green kind of green body to them. I think those were half black, but they had in bag on top of it.
And that's what you're lost it. So once you.
So the next generation, it's gone. I think that's what he did. So, any questions? Any other questions? I can talk this all day long. We can do blues.
I'm down for another one.
Blues, half black blues.
Where does the gold come in? I know you kind of already gone.
So gold, so on gold, so the natural body color of guppies is what we call gray. That's just your normal guppy. We call it gray body. That's natural type or wild type is the technical term. So if we want to throw in gold, the genetics would look like this. This male right here would be little g, because gold is recessive like albinoism. It would be little r, and it would be little b. Technically, it's a triple recessive. If we wanted to start talking about gold, and what that does, that blows our Punnett square up to 64, an 8x8 matrix. And so you may look for something that only going to pop out 8% of the time, or 6% of the time. So that's why when you get multiple genes, it's hard. But these carry gold, these don't. Well, you can buy them that way. So you will get gold variations in here as well. And you can tell them because they're just lighter bodies.
Is the gold just part of the albino gene? Is that where the gold
Different
comes
gene,
in?
different loci, but they are both expressed mostly on the bottom. Well, albino, anywhere melanin it expresses over.
So that's the base gene that, like from the wild, is that gold
Wild is
color, gray, and that's where it stems from, and so all guppies carry it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and gold also is found in populations, but until you start inbreeding, like albinoism, there's more. You see more and more because you're concentrating the recessive. You can actually do population genetics on these and show in 5 years at this rate, this many turnovers, how many of these fish will I get? You can do the whole equation and come right and tell you you're going to get 4 out of 350 million, 350,000 or whatever. So, anyway.
But the gray body reds, a lot of times they have almost black spots on the base of their tail, right before their tail opens up, with the gun plug, yes. It's almost like a little black line, got the dark gray line, and then the gold body reds are more that cherry red color.
So,
The gold ones are a brighter red, like you were saying. The gray version is more blood red, like
Maroon.
yeah. They can get mahogany on there, and then you can't do anything with those. I mean, it just,
I did this exactly a year ago. I had some albinos and the males all died. And I didn't want to lose the line, so I had a gold body red and put it with the albino red.
yeah.
All of the babies were gray body red.
Yep.
And I'm like, where did this gray body come from? Well, the albino was covering up the gray body, I guess.
Yeah.
And since gray is dominant, once
Once the albino's gone.
the babies didn't had the half and half, so they had the recessive albino gene. So the albino wasn't covering anything up anymore. And then when I crossed them, then I started getting albinos, gray body, and gold body reds. The albinos probably are some gold body, some gray body, but you can't really see.
But
That's
like,
it was really fun. I mean, you
you see genetics in action when you start doing this.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
cool.
set them up, you can see it. You start
That's-
counting them.
And that's the great thing about guppies is in a year you can be through 3 generations, and
Yep.
so you see all this. You don't have to, not like cattle. Right? You have
So-
to wait.
So you can create your own line, 1, 2, in about a year if you go to the F2. Half a year if you just do the back cross. You can cut this out. You're right here. Now, the genes won't be as mixed up, but that may be okay. Maybe all you're looking for is to import size. I don't want the other stuff. I just want size to come into my fish. I want it to come in here. So maybe it's not good. You don't want to jumble them all up down here. But maybe you just want to incorporate the size and, bring him to his daughters. And you get a certain percentage. Yeah.
Not a question about color, but what about health? What's the health like in animals that are crossed out like that?
Yeah.
Bred so much.
So guppies are funny. It's gene specific in guppies. I have kept snake skins alive for 3.5, 4 years, snake pattern, but they're closer to wild type guppies. Generally show guppies, we're talking about a year. Males from birth to death about a year, 1.5 tops. Now you can modify that. Cut their food down, raise them cooler. You can expand the lifespan. You can have them have a longer life. If you're pushing them to show to make it bigger, we feed them. We jack the temperature up, and you can. There's some of these guys that are showing males at 4 months old. I've never been able to show males at 4 months old ever in my whole life. I don't know what they do, but I can. But there are, like Alderson will show 4.5 month old fish. I'm not sure how they do it. I mean, they must be pumping them full of food 24/7.
Talk about the outbred vigor also.
Oh, you guys have heard of hybrid vigor, right? Hybrid vigor means you take this inbred line, cross it with this inbred line, and you get the offspring, and they get a lot more virility to them. They get bigger. They're healthier because you get what we call heterosis. Heterosis. Yes, that's right. And so you jumble up the genes, and all of a sudden they're like, you put them beside the parent lines. If you do a tank of the offspring here and tank here of the males and tanks of females, they're active, they're swimming, they're eating. It's crazy. So, but you got to be careful with hybrids because hybrids won't breed true. Now these we can breed true them because these genes are all pretty interlocked. We're staying in the same color family, red. We're staying with albinoism and gray and gold, so we're staying in that. But if you start crossing reds and blues, you might get some really nice F1s, and then you try to sieve them, and it's just like, it just goes to crap pretty fast. But a lot of people will cross line A to their line B, grow up the offspring, and show those, because they're generally bigger fish. Not all the time, but generally bigger fish. That's what we call heterosis.
So one great thing about being part of the club here is you're able to, you can focus on this line of fish, inbreed them for 3 or 4 generations, and really focus on the traits you want, and then find somebody in the club that has some non-related rings, and you trade them out and do a swap, and you'll see the generation that they throw goes F1s, so you probably not have a real big variety of different genetics, but they'll suddenly be bigger and stronger and more beautiful.
So when I did my graduate work at BYU, I was in charge of all the animal breeding for all the experiments and gene stuff. So I had mice, rats, guinea pigs. By the way, rats are really, really smart animals, and you can get attached to them really easy, by the way. And rabbits. I don't like the rabbits too much, but the rats, they're wonderfully smart animals, man. I gotta tell you. I got attached to them, so I had to quit working with the rats. But anyway, so if you take 2 heavily inbred lines, like we had a line called it's called Balb C, and then there was others called Danish R's. And these lines are inbred for not generations, we're talking 60, 70, 80 years. When you cross those, you get popcorn mice. Because they literally jump around everywhere, and they're crazy when you cross them, because when we talk about homozygous, that means every gene you get from your mom and every gene you get from your dad are the same. There is no variation. And it takes 20 generations to inbreed to 99.99%. Generally 20 generations. A brother, sister made 20 generations. That's usually the number. But when I used to cross those, man, if they got loose, you'd never get them. They're fast, they jump, they're smart. As opposed to the other ones that kind of hang around, don't do much. But yeah, that's when you get the hybrid vigor. They start popping around. So anyway, you can see this in guppies. You do it sometime. The 2 lines that are inbred, cross them and watch how the offspring act. They'll be at the front of the tank. They'll be knocking each other over to get food. Feed them in the front. They're just swarming in the front. So, but some of the inbred lines do that too. There are some really, really vigorous inbred lines.
Not like a strategy with a lot of the shellfish. They'll have those 2 lines, they'll cross them. It's basically a terminal cross to them because all they're doing is getting their shellfish.
They don't take them any further than the F1s. So they'll just set up their breeders every year. Line A, line B, show the F1s. Then the next year, set up the same cross again.
So that's why when you buy them at the shows or whatever, then they throw weird stuff in.
That's why when I run auctions for us, if I know the breeders, or some of you guys now have relationships with some of the other breeders, and I can say, those are all right. I'm like, It's really hard when you drop $50 on a trio of fish, say like, let's just say half black yellows, and you get them home and they throw everything but half black yellows. That's really annoying. You're like, you just wasted $50. And or I can help you guys with etiquette, or not etiquette, but there are some well-known guppy breeders that if you buy online, there's 3 or 4 of them, they will send you males that are this big, because everyone likes the big males. If they're coddled out, they don't chase. They can't hit the females. And they'll send you a female that's that big. Like a 2-month-old female with like a 7 or 8-month-old male. The males can't catch them. They don't breed. You can't get them to breed.
Why do they do that?
What's that?
What's the motivation? Why do they do that?
Because they don't want to let their good lines out.
And by doing that, they can keep, they're selling their fish,
Yeah.
but it's hard to,
Okay.
And you're not gonna be able to
Reduce
show them.
competition.
Yeah.
A cynical answer would be, yeah, maybe.
One of the things that we wanted to do as a club out here, and we've been pretty good, is our club is like a fish bank. So, say I have a line of reds, but I really need some other reds. Say if I know Karen has some reds from a different breeder, and she's been working with them. Karen, could I have a couple females? And then I'll say, I'll give you a couple males and you can cross. So that way you don't spend, to get a trio of fish in now is like $100. By the time you pay for it and pay for shipping, for one trio of fish, you could be $75 to $100. So that's one of the goals. We had multiple goals when we started the club. There's like 10 things on there. And one of them was to be a resource to have good, nice guppy genetics here in the Salt Lake. There's a lot of guppy breeders here in Utah. There's a lot, and they may not have good genetic fish. From an IFGA standpoint, let me qualify from an IFGA standpoint. I like half moons. I like to look at them. I'd never breed them. Because my IFGA side is like, can't work with these, but I like antlers and other fish, So I was one of the first ones to get bluegrass, Japanese bluegrass, in the United States it was 2001. Got them from Osaka from a military guy who brought me a trio back. And these were straight from Japan. Japanese don't like to give their best stuff out either. So you have to have a relationship with those guys. But anyway, these are all the stuff you learn. It's like any other hobby that involves animals. Some of these guys breed he breeds cows and stuff. It's the same thing with any animal husbandry. I'll tell you what, the best breeders in IFGA over the years, the best ones, are not guys like me that are educated in genetics. The best ones are the animal breeders who have farms and stuff, because they're site breeders. So they just look at what they want and they control it that way. I'll sit down and go through my genetics and what I want, right, first. But site breeders, Stan Schubel was a site breeder. And the fish that he raised, amazing. And some of the others too. They had that in them to be able to pick good breeding stock. So anyway, I can talk about this stuff all the time.
One question, and I think you probably have the same question. Those reds you got from Scott?
Oh yeah, those are hybrids. But you guys started
He
telling me.
had red,
They
but
have
he
to be
got
hybrid,
4
right?
colors out of it, just like you're explaining.
Yeah, the female was red because I saw the female that the babies came from. That female was in a tank with some half black red males. That's the only thing that
Could have done it.
describes the genetics that you were getting. Yeah. Now you'll be able to pick through them and bring out the reds. You're going to have to start doing this kind of stuff.
Okay, and right along with that, I have the gray-bodied and the
Yep.
gold-bodied or blonde, whatever it's called. That's a little confusing to me. You read one thing and it says they're gold-bodied, and you read another and it talks about blonde bodies
Yeah.
as in the same thing. And it's a little bit. But is there, for instance, in red, is there an advantage on the show bench whether you show the gold-bodied or the gray-bodied?
Gold body will always be red body because the reds are too dark. They look mahogany.
Okay.
But if you have one dose of gold in behind it, not 2, but 1, it'll lighten it up because it's expressed differently in the cell.
Okay, partly dominant.
Yeah, yeah. That's what a lot of half black red guys do. You know, if you have double dark black, it tends to make the caudals really dark. They don't look red. It's like mahogany, right? It's like rust. But you set it up so we have only one dose of black and the other is gold, and that will get you in between. So you'll qualify for the class for the half black, but you'll also get the good clean red because that gold gene is going to knock out some of that blackness that's in it. So real quick, gold, gray, blonde, and there's other body color types. It's in the cell and how concentrated the pigments are in the cell. That's what determines gray, gold. So if you look under a microscope, I should do this. I'm a microbiologist by trade, by the way. You can look at the cells under a microscope and you can stain them and you can see how the black is contracted in the cell and how far it's out. And those genes control that, and that's what gives you that visual gold or that visual gray body. It's by how the color cells are expressed at the cellular level, and that's what gives you that. The other body color gene we have is bronze, you know, that has the black etchings on the scales. That's one of the other body color genes, and it's recessive. It's inherited recessive too. So you have to have 2 little B's for bronze. So if any of you guys want to make good multis, cross a solid through a bronze female. You will get really nice multis. First generation.
The hard thing is finding a bronze female.
I have some, but they're not good quality. The quality is good for crossing. It's not just
People don't give them out.
The bronze came out of some Tom Allen stuff. All his stuff was bronze eventually.
Right.
So, all right.